And we are live. I am so thrilled today to welcome for the second time. It's my very first second timer. D. Grant Smith himself, the growth farmer. And for people that would be like, wait, what? Why second time? Yes, I know, because the very first episode of this Happy Misfits podcast has been an audio. It was before I decided to go video. So we don't have any record of that one, unfortunately. So for the peeps that have been live with us, you were in for a treat. We had a beautiful conversation, and we won't do the same one for the people that missed it. So sorry. Today we have a very special topic on mind. So very first, I would love to say a few words to introduce my homie D. But would you like to say a few words to our audience?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, whoa. I don't know what the heck that was. Hold on a second. Okay. Sorry about that. That was crazy. First off, Kevin, it is an absolute joy to see your face this morning, and also an absolute privilege to get to be the first two-time guest on your show and to get to spend Valentine's morning with you, one of my closest homies and favorite people in the whole world. Dude, I am super excited. Thank you.
So yeah, I'm very thrilled about that one. So in a nutshell, so D, besides being an absolutely beautiful, amazing human being, he's a wonderful coach and teacher. So he's a growth farmer, and you can discover his work. You can directly connect with him on LinkedIn. We will talk about that later. So really, I invite you to connect with D. So it's one of my very favorite Hounds of Business Community members, which is one of my favorite communities ever. So that it says a lot, right? And actually, we have other people. Let's take a few minutes, no, not a few minutes, a few seconds to celebrate our fellow hounds or no. Not hounds, actually. We have new Oli Gregory, Melissa Alden from the Super Freaks. So we already have a nice audience. Thank you so much, guys, for commenting. And if you're not commenting, we can see you right now. We're just focusing on just the two of us plus the comments. So if you want to be acknowledged, I invite you to comment. And if you have any questions on today's topic, feel free to ask your questions. So today won't be really a questions and answers. It's not the way we decided to go, but your questions will disrupt our flow and initial intention. So if you have questions, or if there are some topics, specific topics you'd like us to discuss, please bring your vibe. So yeah, that's the thing. This was the initial plan to enjoy this conversation once again with D, and then D helped me realize, hey, you know what? It's going to be Valentine's Day, and personally, I hate Valentine's Day. I vomit Valentine's Day. At least the superficial, shallow, commercial version of it. That to me is I don't buy into that. Let's say thing to be cute. That's just me, right? But because I don't believe we should have a day dedicated to love. Every single day, every single hour, every single second should be dedicated to love, to loving others, loving ourselves, or loving the universe, loving whatever you want. We don't need one day for that. But that's my belief. I don't want to push my beliefs on anybody. And actually, thank you so much, D, to help me reframe that, to help, because usually I just don't care. I'm like, nah, it doesn't matter. I'm not even touched by that thing. I just let people do their thing, and it doesn't touch me like water on the feathers of a duck. But this time I'm like, you know what? Let's reframe it and let's find a new take on it, approach it in a new, beautiful way. So thank you again so much for this invitation, and really would like to invite you guys to consider how it can be to be a single misfit on Valentine's Day, and actually on every single day, and how we could make it the very best days, not just Valentine's Day, but really embrace that vibe and fly high and really thrive as a single misfit. So yeah, I already talked a lot, and that's the thing. So today, D is not my guest, only my guest is my co-host. So it's a co-creation we are doing. So I will just shut my mouth now and I'll let you speak, D.
Well, since it's a co-creation, co-host thing, man, that we're just vibing off each other. First off, Oli, yes, dude, it is Kevin's decision on what it is that he decides to do. I appreciate that. I use my first initial in all kinds of different capacities. So I appreciate Oli bringing that into the forefront. But, I know that I positioned this conversation when we were first talking about it in terms of looking at it as being a single misfit on Valentine's Day. But I'm curious if we can reframe even that and take a different approach to this even idea of singleness versus being coupled. Because when we are thinking about it from this lens of I'm by myself, I don't have anybody, then it seems very debilitating, especially if being in a relationship is something that you want to experience. And that's something that I want to experience, but that's something that we choose to experience within. And a big part of this whole reality, I was going to say concept, but reality of self-love is recognizing that you are already in the most loving relationship of your life with yourself and with the love that lives within you, with the love that we all came from. And that love can be embodied in another physical human being, but it doesn't have to be. Because even in that physical relationship that you have with another human being, what makes you feel loved is the loving feelings that you feel within when you're with that person. But do you have to have that person to feel that love? No, you don't. When we tell ourselves that I have to have another person in order to feel loved, we are creating a codependent relationship, and that is going to end terribly. Trust me. And it also creates this unhealthy attachment, so that if I don't have this person, then I don't have the love that I want. And so much of this is, let's take single and coupled out of the equation. Just like you said, Kevin, in taking the idea that Valentine's Day is this one-day celebration that we get to do every 365 days or 366 on leap year. But if that's not the equation, and love is a celebration that we get to do, we have the decision to make every single day, however we want to do it, and it can come in any way, shape, or form that we decide to do that. Thank you, Oli. Then that becomes a joy. It's like it's something that's exciting. It's not something that's obligatory. It's not something that's like that comes with all this pressure or comes with all this stress. What do you think about that?
So, I totally agree with that. And I feel it's extremely important to become detached to that. And I really feel there's a lot of cultural pressure, cultural expectations, and I feel we have quite a lot to cover. So I will try to not go too deep right away, because we definitely could talk for hours, guys. And I'm not sure D has hours to play with today, and I'm really not sure you guys in the audience have that kind of time on your. So I will be respectful of everybody's time and try to stay concise, but. Really, the idea is I believe is we are born, whatever you believe in, our nature makes us like our role is to procreate and expand and create new generations and teach new generations and to be basically gametes, to be able to perpetuate in a way. And I feel there's that kind of urge in a way that makes love and everything around and love relationships leading to procreation and making babies, etc. A huge part of our life and probably a bigger part than it could be. Like nowadays, we are able to separate ourselves from those urges and necessities, physical necessities or religious necessities, and we can decide to, yeah, you know what? I don't want to have kids. And you know what? At least for the time being, I'm not sure I want to be in a couple. And that's the thing. And because there's so much mix between cultural expectations, religious expectations, peer pressure, and many things, we tend to be in an obligation that we might be aware of or not, and really leading us into that direction. But that's the thing. I strongly believe that there are amazing upsides and downsides in any situation. Being in a couple has many upsides. And yeah, you know what I'm talking about, guys, right? I don't have to make a drawing. You know the biggest ones. And just not only the physical aspects, right? To me, like having a healthy, good love relationship is also having my best friend handy, one of my best friends handy. It's the way I see it and is the way I want to engineer it, to really create it and nurture it. There's also some downsides, right? Like your time, you have to manage your time differently. You can't focus on your own needs, only your own desires. You have to find middle ground. You have to, and a relationship is an investment of time, energy, money, many things. Being single, well, you don't have some aspects, right? Especially the physical one, but you do whatever you want with your time and energy and money. There are so many upsides about that, and it's really how you see it. You get to choose how you see it. You can focus on the downsides, what's lacking. Like I see being a single, like everything that I would get in a couple that I don't have. Or you could decide to focus on the upsides that you have while being a single. That's up to you. You can focus on whatever you want, and you can really create your reality however you want in the way you really narrow down on exactly what matters to you. And we naturally tend to focus on the negative because we've been wired for that. 2 million years ago, we've been wired to focus on the negative for survival. Because our species was supposed to survive no matter what, and we became stellar at that. But we kept that tendency to focus on the negative. But really, we get to choose. We can free ourselves from that, and we get to focus on what really interests us. So it was a long answer, but really, my point is there are amazing upsides at being a single. If you choose to see them, it's up to you.
I 100% agree, man. And also, Kevin, just to be clear, dude, you never have to qualify anything you say, buddy.
Yeah, I unmute every time you speak, so there's no echo or something like that. So just so you
okay.
Don't worry. And plus, it's a respectful way because, as you've seen, I tend to talk, and probably like it's interesting. Usually, because I have the questions and answers, and I highlight my guests, I don't speak that much. But you see what happens when I'm in a free ride. So it's also a way for me to structure myself and like, okay, now it's time to shut up. So please,
Well,
the floor is yours.
how about this, man? Like, so this being one of the first opportunities where you are getting a chance to really share your heart and your thoughts versus asking questions to somebody that is on as a guest where they are the primary focus of everything. This is a beautiful opportunity, man. And I feel very privileged of getting to like you and I have conversations not all the time, but more regularly than, a lot of folks. And so getting to hear your heart and your thoughts and your feelings on things, like, guys, please join me in thanking Kevin and expressing your appreciation for getting to know the man's heart behind just the Mr. Mingle title and all the ways that you show up in your full energy, man. This is such a beautiful gift. So I for me, this is Valentine's Day. This is Valentine's. This is celebration of love in our relationships. And here's another thing. Yeah, Oli, dude, you've got some great one-worders and one-liners, man. You're awesome. Uh, the idea that love has to be a romantic thing. That was one of the things that first hit me when I was coming into the awakening awareness of the fact that I had not loved myself for 35, 36 years. And so my spiritual awakening happened when I met God in a different way and learned that I didn't know what love was and I didn't know how to love myself. And that was actually why I was so miserable. That's why I was suffering so much. And that the physical things, I was going through divorce at the time, the physical things that were going on around me were a reflection of what was going on inside of me. Now that was 7 years ago, almost to the day. I can testify now, 7 years later, that being on this journey of every single day, not once, not twice, but over and over and over again, investing in planting love inside myself. That's what the growth farmer thing is all about. The growth of myself is planting love in my heart garden, in my mind garden, in my spirit garden, in my physical garden of my body with exercise and good eating, all of this stuff. Planting love inside of me is growing the best version of me. And it is a long game. It is a process. It is a commitment. All the things that we give to somebody else to make us whole, make us good enough, make us whatever. No, man, you come back home to yourself and you start with you. You be first with you so that you have a solid foundation to build any relationship on. All of my relationships have improved in my life. My relationships with my family, my relationships with my closest friends. There are some people that I used to be really close with that I'm not as close with anymore, but it's okay. Sometimes we press pause in life. I'm learning to accept that. Sometimes God's like, hey, man, I know you want this relationship to be really strong. I need you guys to like not hang out anymore for a little while. Here's an example of that. You guys on LinkedIn, you've seen me talk about this. Over the past 2 weeks, I've been sharing with you. Her name is Leilani. I was married to her for almost 12 years. I don't call her my ex-wife because she's not my ex-wife. She's my old friend that I used to be married to. I redefine everything, by the way. Exes, I don't have those. I don't have enemies and I don't have exes. There's people that don't like me, that's fine. But I don't have enemies and I don't have exes. Anyhow, Leilani and I reconciled after, 4 years, 5 years of not liking each other at all. And now she is sharing the unpacking of our marriage, of our divorce. And tomorrow, the third part of this trilogy series that she's done on her podcast is the unpacking of our reconciliation. Now, at this stage in my life, we are, I think, closer in a lot of ways than we were even when we were married. Now, she has remarried, and I'm so happy for her. She's found true love. I celebrate everything about that. And I'm sharing all of this to say that love, I have all kinds of love for Leilani. I didn't think I'd ever say that again, but that shows the healing capacity that infinite love has to make all things new. And and I'm sharing this also to encourage you that even on this day, this romantic love day, if there is somebody in your life that you wish you were closer with, or that you had some sort of breakup with, or some sort of thing that went wrong, and things are not the way that you want them to be. It's okay. If you will practice loving yourself and loving and adoring yourself, you will find that whatever bitterness or animosity or tension or whatever it was that was with that relationship, you don't think about it anymore. It heals itself. That's been my experience. And yes, you will probably need to forgive that person. And you forgive other people, by the way, you forgive them for yourself so that you're not holding on to the hot coal of bitterness, thinking that something is going to change for them. They're going to, they're going to hurt or they're going to suffer. Man, I don't want anybody to feel any pain, period. I don't hold on to bitterness. I let myself feel anger because anger is a tool, and anger is a teacher showing you where your boundaries have been crossed. I don't let myself get to a place of bitterness. When I start to feel that, I'm like, okay, what is going on inside of me that I need to be dealing with? Because this is not an energy I want to vibe in, and this is certainly not an energy I want to project onto somebody else. But here on Valentine's Day, regardless of the nature of your relationships, if there are relationships that you have or that you wish could be better, allow yourself to feel love in the moment right now for yourself. Let that love permeate your inner being of your heart, your inner being of your soul, your inner being of your body, of your mind. And then when you are in a place where like love is just vibing with you, then you can feel that love for that other person and extend that out to them and trust that the unseen hand, the Almighty, the divine, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, is doing the invisible work under the soil, bringing harmonization back into that relationship. And when the time will come when you are not expecting it, that's exactly what happened for me. Time will come when you're not expecting it, where everything will just suddenly fit into place. And this reconciliation, harmonization happens. And it's beautiful beyond something you could ever imagine or desire.
Yeah, I love that, and I feel you really touch something very important here. That really the self-love, and we agree on that. You and I, we had several really conversations about it. That it is so incredibly important, and we probably all have heard that concept or that saying that before you can properly love anyone, you better start loving yourself, right? And it's super cliche. You read or hear that in many places, but if it's a cliche, maybe it's for some, like fire and smoke. Probably there's a reason for that. And really, that the thing. I personally, I put friends before lovers. I believe that it's, and if you want to see it as a cold investment, really, like let's go the cold mind way. The focusing your time, energy, and money on one individual only might bring some heavy return on investment. Maybe not, but at any point they might just bounce and leave, right? When if you invest in your friends, very first you don't risk to jeopardize your relationship because you're cheating on them or they're cheating on you. Okay, some people get jealous of other friends, but you probably don't want that kind of friends, to be honest. But usually it's okay if they see other friends, you're good. Usually it doesn't jeopardize your relationship. So I believe it's a better investment to really focus on your friends and build very strong friendships before you even think about focusing your time on any lover or love relationship. And then even at the root of that, there is you. And you're the one person you will spend your entire life with. And you can't quit yourself. You can't cheat on you. There are many ways to do that, and I'm sure all of you have cheated on yourself, on your values, on your core beliefs and core needs at some points. That's okay. We get to forgive ourselves and to be compassionate and clear the slate and move on. But we can't escape ourselves. We're stuck with ourselves, and nobody will live our life for us. So we better be the very best friend and the very best lover with ourselves that we can possibly be. It all starts with us, even before the friends, and definitely even the lovers, at least in my opinion. And something that I read an article recently that was very, very interesting, and it's about contentment. Contentment that doesn't have such a good rap. Like contentment for many people is like meh. Like it would be, yeah, I'm okay. I'm barely okay. It's not great, but it's mild, right? But actually, contentment is a very important piece in feeling good in anything. It's the turning point, the zero level. Like in mathematics, zero is absolutely primordial, right? If you know a little bit about mathematics, to me, I really see it like that. It's when everything happens, it's when everything shifts. And if you're interested in energy, contentment is the middle ground between lack and abundance.
Mm.
And to imagine going from lack to abundance right away, it might be difficult. Some people are able to make that happen, and yay for them, but it's not easy for everyone. So actually, contentment is an extremely powerful milestone that you might aim to. So before you're like, okay, self-love, that's nice, but oh, come on, I've hated myself. I had so much low self-esteem, low self-confidence, even hate to myself for so long. And believe me, guys, I've been there. I've been that person for so long. So I really can relate. So how could I suddenly, boom, start to love myself and become my best friend forever and my own lover? Yeah, maybe it's a stretch. Maybe it's a little bit too difficult right now. So if you're coming from a difficult place, if you're feeling like, yeah, it might be too high to jump, why not, for the time being, focus on contentment? At least, uh, taking care of your basic needs, feeling like, okay, you know what? Here I can breathe. The way, a diver would have, those, I don't know how it's called in English, but those different steps. So they can go deeper and deeper and deeper. Mm-hmm. And when they go higher, so they won't just burst and their brain won't go all gummy. So you see that. So contentment, I see it a little bit like that. Before you go wild in abundance, wild in self-love and thriving, and yay, the life is full of butterflies and unicorns and teddy bears. Yeah, why not try contentment? If you feel the gap is too big to jump at once, you could just aim for contentment. Like, okay, you know what? I will at least, and even before that, aim for progress every step at a time. If right now you're not feeling too good, and it's very seasonal, right? We're in the middle of winter. Like, have you ever thought about why do we have Valentine's Day in the middle of winter? It doesn't make any sense. Nature is not ready for that. To me, it would be like, let's do that in July. Let's enjoy July. But no, Valentine's Day is here for a reason. Exactly when we need it the most, like Christmas. Christmas right at the beginning of winter, so we get prepared for hardships and all the inconvenience that comes with winter. So actually, it's very well thought. So that those specific dates. So if you're a believer, those dates might be linked, to your core beliefs. So maybe what I'm saying doesn't make any sense. But let's imagine for a minute it was engineered that those dates have been picked for a reason. Then look at that. It's very handy. Valentine's Day is to help you just survive during the hardships of winter. to surround yourself with extra love when you need it the most. And guess what? You can do that to yourself. And it doesn't have to be showering yourself right away. It can be one step by step, like, you know what? At least today, I won't be as hard on myself that I did yesterday. Or even better, maybe I will treat myself right for once. At least 1 minute. You can try, just 1 minute and see what happens. But we'll see. We have thought about tools that might come in handy, so we'll see about that. What do you think, Dee, so far?
Well, one thing that's really come into my mind is, just to be super clear with you guys, nobody has a perfect example of living this out every single day, 365 days a year for like decades and decades and decades without a little blip. Okay. Myself included. So I've mentioned this a couple of times. Last year was a really hard year for me. I think the last year was a really hard year for a lot of people. And I think that this is something I keep kind of coming back to. Maybe it was divinely timed for 2023 to be this like cataclysmic experience for a whole lot of people on a variety of different levels. And it's not anybody's fault. So when I talk about how, I was in a very awesome, wonderful relationship with somebody that I still love with all of my heart, they came to an end, and it's not anybody's fault. Business for me hit the lowest point it had ever been. Not anybody's fault. Other things in my life just tanked. Not anybody's fault. So getting out of this blame game sort of thing where you feel like, okay, because my life is falling apart, I must have done something wrong. It can also be that God is reshaping and redirecting us to give us exactly what it is that we want, but maybe we've been holding on to things in the wrong ways, and everything has to get shaken up and taken apart. So what you were saying a minute ago about going into contentment, if you're in a place that's like really, really low, and how contentment is that middle ground between lack and abundance, what really resonated with me there is two things. I'll tell a joke in a second, but like if you imagine this as like a physical garden of dirt, or a place where there's land and there's dirt and there's soil. If inside this plot of land is a bunch of like scrap metal, like a junkyard, and there's all these weeds and thorns and briars growing up everywhere, and you're looking at that and you're like, well, this is where I wanted to plant my garden, but what the hell am I going to do with this? That is lack and desperation and destruction and all kinds of stuff that you don't want. You don't immediately go in there with a bunch of seeds and start planting roses. And let's say you want to plant corn and you want to plant vegetables and fruits and stuff. You don't go in there and start planting all of the seeds in there right away. No, what do? You go in and you take all the metal and all the junk out and you haul that stuff off. You go in there with a backhoe and whatever else you need to, and you dig into the ground and you unearth all of the stuff that is rooted down in there that you don't want, that will squelch all of the life out of the plants that you want to cultivate. You have to get that ground back to the 0 point, the place you might call contentment, where it's just neutral ground. And then you go in and you plant the seeds and you water the seeds and you cultivate that soil so that you can produce growth. And that's what we have to do with our own hearts. So I think that, man, for me, I've been in this continuous process for the past 6 months or so, intensely for the past 3.5, 4 months of I got to a place where I'm like, okay, couple of experiences, not at all like what I wanted to experience, but I'm seeing that I'm a hell of a lot stronger than I thought I was. And I can actually go through things that 5 or 6 years ago, this would have wrecked me. It's totally wrecked me. I wouldn't have believed in myself at all. I would have turned against myself and gone down all kinds of destructive paths, but I'm not that person anymore. This is who I am. So it doesn't matter what's standing in front of me. You guys saw me post a little meme, I guess it was, or GIF from Rocky 3. I've been talking about this a lot. Mr. T looks Rocky in the eyes and says, I'm going to bust you up. To me, that's fear looking me in the eyes and saying, I'm going to wreck you, and me going, go for it, homie. because I know who I am. And sometimes in our closest relationships and in, love in any capacity, things can go completely south and in a different direction from what you ever imagined. And maybe part of that is actually a gift, because maybe part of that is saying, okay, man, are you too attached to other people and more committed to other people than you are to yourself? And I can admit that I was. And so going through difficulty brought me back to myself. My heart spoke to me one day. Actually, I think it was on Valentine's Day last year. My heart spoke to me and said, hey, dude, remember, you committed to me first. Remember, you chose me first. And I had to go, shit, I did. And so coming back home to myself, I'm a super romantic person. All of my past relationships know I am a super romantic person. But I've gotten to be where I am romantic with myself. And that comes back to choosing self. And it is a process. Remember, we're doing this for a long game. And the long game is your whole freaking life. Not just because, man, I bought into this thing too. I'll just be super honest. When I first got into self-love, I chose self-love because I wanted to attract the right person into my life. But that's a disingenuous reason to love yourself, to get something from somebody else. That's more codependency. Come back home and choose yourself because you choose yourself. The benefits that come from having relationships with other people that are beneficial, whether that's suddenly your business turns around, you attract your ideal dream partner, whatever the case may be, all of that is icing on the cake, but you've got to have cake in order to have the icing on the cake. So come back to the cake and make that the best freaking cake ever. So here's the joke. I heard this guy say this yesterday. He said, I don't tell people that I go to the gym. I just say, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I used to weigh 300 pounds, but now I'm here. And people will be like, whoa, nobody's going to ask a question of how often you work out, regardless of what your body type is. If you're just I'm a pretty skinny guy. If I told somebody I used to weigh 300 pounds, they would want to know what my super secret is. And I'd obviously be lying because I've never been anywhere close to 300 pounds. But that's the point. Telling ourselves and others this story of, I used to be this way, but now I'm me. Not just me, I'm me. And me is pretty freaking awesome. You don't have anything to explain to anybody. You don't have to show off your biceps. You don't have to do 20 push-ups, or you don't have to do anything to justify the nature of why you feel the way that you feel. I don't have to explain my confidence to anybody. I just am. I don't have to explain my peace to anybody. I just am. I don't explain my zeal to anybody. I just am. But I will tell you this, the more that you practice any of these things, the things that give you confidence, the things that give you zeal, the things that give you encouragement and empowerment, the more you practice it, the better you get. So Kevin knows this. Have a conversation with me. You're going to feel like $1 million. Why? Because that's my freaking energy. I practice this not to get something out of it. I practice it because it's fun, because it feels good. It's just a natural byproduct of the expansion of love growing within the inner garden. So that's what I feel about all this stuff, dude.
Yeah, thank you so much. Love that. And apparently, I'm not the only one. Just wanted to acknowledge Maria Elena and Jane that has been with us and commenting like crazy for a while. So high time I acknowledge you, beautiful ladies. We love you very much.
Yes, thank you.
And just there's something I believe is very important, and I know you and I we see it that way, and maybe some people in the audience don't yet. So I love to share that with you, and really it's the idea of being self-reliable. When you rely on someone else to bring you happiness, when you make your happiness reliant on someone else's goodwill and acts and words, etc., exactly as Dee mentioned, you become codependent. Do you really want your happiness to be in the hands of someone else? Well, maybe you won't, but it would be like I will just put my head, on the stove and just wait. Maybe someone will decide to cook me at any point, and I just at their mercy. And okay, just do whatever you want to with me. It's really how I see it. And don't get me wrong, there are once again amazing upsides to being in couple. I love being in a relationship. I enjoy being in love and sharing both of things with a special person. Absolutely, I'm totally into that. As long as I don't put my happiness entirely in the hands of that person. And I love that you mentioned cake, and I have this kind of the same analogy. To me, a love relationship is really like the topping of the cake. The cherry on top, the delicious topping, all the extra nuts and caramel and whatever you could top your cake with. And the friends would be the filling. To me, they're really what makes the journey extra juicy, extra yummy, like all the good crunchy and smoothness. And really, it's where I get the best out of the journey. But the dough is in my hands. The foundations, and like you could see it like a house. To me, it would be okay. I get the foundations right by myself, by my own hands. And then my friends are the walls and roof. So I feel safe and good and warm and structured. And then, okay, now that my house is ready, let's put the furnitures and let's enjoy the comfiness of this nest and really go to the next level. And I really see it that way. But it all starts with the foundations or the dough or whatever analogy you could use. And that is in our hands. And we want to be self-reliable. We want to put our happiness, or at least our own contentment, in our own hands. And I feel it could be good to start sharing a few ideas or tips or whatever you want to call it. And I'm wondering, guys, do you have any self-friend activity or self-lover activity, something that you would do for your very best friend? You would go romantic with your loved one. Do you have anything like that for yourself? And it doesn't have to be fancy. Not everyone is romantic, right? And not all relationship is based on beds with petals of roses and and trips to Venice. It's not just that, right? There's a lot of daily grind and daily building in a relationship, at least a long run in a relationship. Do you have any practice, something that makes you good, makes you take good care of yourself? Like personally, I have Qigong. Qigong is like one of my most precious mortals. It's something that really makes me whole, makes me align, makes me treat myself like a king. Whenever I do my Qigong, and like I will apologize to myself and just show up, on camera. I missed my Qigong on Monday. I cheated on myself. That's okay, because I also have compassion to myself, and so I forgave myself. I got so busy that I skipped Qigong, and that's okay. It doesn't have to happen too often, otherwise we probably need a good talk. But for now, I'm good. I'm like, okay, once in a while, you have a pass. But really Qigong, and I have other practices like that. But Qigong, it's just one very important example for me. Whenever I do my Qigong, whenever I carve out the time, I make it secret, and I really do that for my own benefit. I feel like, hey, you know what? Yeah, I love you, man. You're treating me right. You're treating me good. You're making me content, or even happy. So yeah, I'm proud of you. I'm so happy to be in this relationship with us. That's wonderful, and this is extremely powerful. And maybe you're doing that without necessarily acknowledging it. And I'm just inviting you. Why not really making what you always do anyway? Why not putting extra meaning in it and really doing it because it's important to you and celebrating that? And if you really want to go the extra mile, why not having a date with you, self date? Why not, exactly the kind of extra effort you would do for your loved one? So back to the Venice example, right? Imagine doing a trip to Venice. Like next week, I will be in Dublin, Ireland. It's a treat to myself. It's something right now wasn't necessarily the easiest thing to do. I decided to treat myself like a king. And you know what? I will go to Dublin. I will go to this amazing coaching event, and I will hug so hard some very dear friends in person. And Maria Elena, I'm waiting to have you in my arms in a few days, and that's a way for me to really treat myself right. And it doesn't have to be that fancy. To me, a self date is just be can be just pizza with beer with ice cream as a dessert while watching an anime or a Marvel movie. To me, like I feel like I'm on a date with myself. That's
Winner.
very simple, right? But to me, like it's yeah, man. Okay, I love you. So just a few examples, and yeah, I will let you share a little bit. I have another one, an extra one, my Holy Trinity. I'd love to share, but your turn, B.
Well, first off, self dates, fantastic. That was a game changer for me, man. Last year, the first session I had with my coach, he called me out and said, "You're not dating the same person you were before, are you?" I hadn't said anything to him. He could just tell. And I was like, "No." And he goes, "Yeah, you don't carry yourself the same when you're not with another person." And that was a game changer for me, man. I didn't realize that my confidence was so attached to being in a relationship. But as soon as he said that, this freaking light went off in my head. And I'm like, dude, this is not who I am. Decide who you are. So what he gave me to do was, you're going to take yourself out on a date, D. Grant. So I went to the store. I bought dinner for one person, and I just bought dinner. I didn't buy groceries. I bought steak. I bought veggies. I bought wine. I wasn't drinking at the time. I'm still not drinking now. Something I cut out of my life last year was alcohol. And I treated myself to a badass, awesome date. And I played music and I danced and I had a great time. Now, would I have done that with another person? Absolutely, I would have. But to finally treat myself the way that I've treated other people, by the way, that's my post on LinkedIn today. When you finally love yourself the way that you've loved other people, your whole life changes. And that's the freaking truth, because that's my story. So here's something else that I do. Change my inner talk. Change your inner talk. Whatever it is that you are having conversations with yourself, and by the way, all of us are having conversations with ourselves all the time. Change the conversations with yourself. Make them encouraging, make them loving, make them empowering. Imagine other people telling you how awesome you are. Instead of imagining other people criticizing you or belittling you or not loving you or not being supportive of you, I promise you, when you change the way that other people talk to you in your own mind, you will find that they actually start saying the same things to you in your other regular three-dimensional life, because our thoughts create things. When you change the way that you speak to yourself, the way that you carry yourself changes too. And the words that come out of your mouth about yourself and about other people changes too. I became a super empowering person by being a super empowering person to myself. Words of affirmation and encouragement is my number one love language. I normally do this with other people anyways, just naturally. But I decided, what if I gave myself the love that I give to other people? What might happen in my life then? Well, now I feel great, not just content, great all the time. By the way, my middle name is Grant. Grant means great. My first name is David. You talked about treating yourself like a king. I am King David, the great one. This is the way that I speak to myself. This is the way I think about myself. This is the way I feel about myself. And I had to overcome a ton of insecurity, self-doubt, fear, and self-loathing to get to this place. So if you're not at the same place where Kevin and I are at, doesn't matter. You start where you are and you commit to yourself. This is what self-commitment is. That no matter what, I'm going to love me. Doesn't matter how anybody else shows up in my life. Doesn't matter what my external circumstances are. I don't give a shit about that. I give a shit about me. And I choose me today and every day, no matter what. Speak to yourself this way. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, dude or girl, hey, I got you. I love you. I'm so proud of you. You're the most beautiful. You're the most wonderful. You're the most incredible. You're the most sexy. You're the most desirable. I love you with all of me, and I am always here for you. I'm always supporting you. I've always got your back and your front and your sides and your up and your down. No matter what, I got you. Speak to yourself that way. Look yourself in the eyes when you do that. Be your own true love. I promise you, everything will change.
Yeah, I really, really love that. And I feel everyone was able to feel your energy. And I mean everyone, not only the people watching to this live, but literally everyone. Like you have that kind of powerful energy that just oozes from you, and it's very contagious in the very, very best meaning of the word. And yeah, you touched very important points here. And yeah, you are actually building a wonderful bridge from that holy quote unquote Trinity I mentioned. And those are actually very simple. And you can see them in so many magazines, you know, and like kind of super cliche stuff. But still, are you doing it? And are you living by it? And those are compassion, gratitude, forgiveness. So those three, if you really put them like first and foremost and create practices, or even better, include them in current practices you have, and make them a big part of your life, it will have an incredible ripple effect on yourself, on your friends, and your relationships with your friends and family, and on your loved ones or on your future loved ones, because that stuff is very powerful. And there's a ton of research if you're curious, like compassion, gratitude, forgiveness. There are a wonderful, incredible trinity. Like gratitude is very, very powerful. Like there was a study I remember about monks, Tibetan monks, Buddhist monks, specialists of meditation, mindfulness, and their levels of happiness. And we're not only talking about contentment, we're talking about real, like incredible, close to nirvana level of happiness. We're incredibly steady thanks to their level of gratitude and compassion and forgiveness. They were able to live by, all thanks to mindfulness, like meditation. Mindfulness is just one way to meditate. There are others, but I believe it's one of the most famous and most powerful ways. So guys, if you're not meditating in any way, you don't have to. You do you choose whatever you want, but at least you might want to give it a try, because believe me, that stuff is incredibly powerful. If you let it, if you let your resistance get in the way, well, probably not so much. But really, once again, those gratitude, compassion, and forgiveness, that's extremely powerful. And there are many ways to explore that. One of my favorite ways for that, it's called the 6-phase meditation from Vishen Lakhiani, the founder of Mind Valley. That stuff is epic. And the 3 first phases are exactly that. You start with compassion, then gratitude, then forgiveness. And then you start, doing some heavy lifting to create incredible life and success. But the all the first part, the half of it is all about that. So extremely powerful. So if it's not in your life in one way or another, what the heck are you waiting for? Like that's game changer, that life changing at the highest level. But once again, you do you. If you prefer to stay miserable and to feel like unhappy and unfulfilled, well, be my guest. But personally, I've been there way too many times. I'm done. I'm like, that's okay. Let's move on.
Ditto that, dude. Ditto that. And meditation also is simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. Meditation is conscious awareness of life. You are sitting still. You are hopefully eyes closed, doesn't have to be. You can also do walking meditations, but it's the same principle. You're breathing, and your only focus is on your breathing. You let your thoughts drift off like clouds, and their thoughts are going to come, but instead of attaching to them and trying to figure them out or trying to make them go away and be silent, you don't do that. It's just like, okay, there's a cloud. Cool. I'm breathing. Thich Nhat Hanh taught me and taught all of us. I'm breathing in, and I know that I'm breathing in. I'm breathing out, and I know that I'm breathing out. There, that's meditation.
Yeah, thank you for adding that because that's a thing. You and I, we know what meditation is. Many people still have no idea, and they have fake ideas that have been engineered by Hollywood or books, or ways. And yes, meditation is not something that is reserved for monks, people that meditate under cascades, or waterfalls. And it's not about clearing your mind. It doesn't work. You can't do that. You would turn into a zombie. You don't clear your mind. It never happens actually, to no one, maybe just for a brief period of time. So it's actually something we all do all the time without realizing. And it just comes down to one thing: being fully present to the here and now. And yeah, it's not that easy. It requires practice. It's a muscle, right? You need your reps to make it work. You need to go to the gym, so to speak. But yeah, it really works. So we're already at the end of this call, and as I mentioned, I want to be respectful of everybody's time. So yeah, we don't have as much time as I wanted to really finish properly. So guys, I invite you to go and discover the Grant Smith, the growth farmer. If you don't know him already, connect. Like you probably already saw how powerful this man is, both in heart, mind, and soul. So yeah, I invite you to go deeper and fall in love with this beautiful man. Romantically or not, it doesn't matter. There are many shapes and forms for love. So don't feel obliged to fall in love. And like, let's be honest, probably there's only one seat available. So yeah. So better be at least friends for starters, and see where it leads you, right? But no, I'm kidding. But yeah, really.
I appreciate you playing matchmaker for me, Mr. Mingle. Thank you.
So it was more friend maker actually, or connection maker, but I felt like it's Valentine's Day. Why not? It might go wrong, which actually would be the very best kind of right. When a relationship, a friendship goes wrong, usually it's kind of good sign. But it depends. Yeah, we could go for hours. Would you love to say a few last words, my dear friend D?
Well, first off, thank you, Kevin, for opening up this space and this conversation and allowing yourself to be expressed and to be known, and for your heart to come out in some very powerful and very beautiful ways, man. You are a gift that keeps on giving over and over and over, Kevin. And I appreciate being a part of the middle gooey yumminess inside your cake. Thank you very much. For all of our friends that joined us here, I'm only able to see the LinkedIn folks. So Oli, Melissa, Jane, and Maria, and anybody else that joined in. It was or Dr. New. Thank you so much for being a part of this conversation and for commenting and engaging and bringing your energy to this place. I really appreciate that. For those of you guys that don't know me, yes, connect with me on LinkedIn. Send me a message. Let's have conversation. Conversation is one of my favorite things in the whole world. So if you want to have enlightening and empowering conversation, give the gift that keeps on giving and talk to me. Okay, that's what I got to share. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you.
You're wonderful. I love you, Dee. I love you guys in the audience. We all love you. It's Valentine's Day, and let's make Valentine's Day every day the way we can make Christmas every day. So let's just do that. Let's spread love and goodwill and compassion, gratitude, forgiveness, and all that jazz. Guys, mwah!